What is up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. What a slate we have in front of us. 13 games. I think this is the most we've had all year. Maybe us three on the Wednesday show have done one other 13 gamer, but not going to have as much time for BS, and we'll get through all the games. We have the Up to Lock show as always, but joined by my two boys, AP, DC, the two Chiefs fans, talking a little pre-show, Chiefs Bills. All the games this week are going to be a lot of fun, but Chiefs Bills capping it off on Sunday should be a lot of fun. I know what sides both of you are on, but I'll go to you, DC. You can talk a little bit about it if you want. I know you're Chiefs, I think, though. You have a trip coming up I just learned about if you want to talk about that, too. And then 13 games. It's a big one for sure.
Yeah, a lot of questions there, Title. Of course, I'm on the Chiefs at home. They'll pull it off against the Bills. I think it should be a fantastic game. I'll be watching it in Cabo, as you mentioned, taking a little trip with the girlfriend's family. A wedding down there should be awesome. And my dry January will come to a conclusion when I reach Cabo. I'll make up for some lost time and make sure to damage my body all the healing it's done during this month. But that'll be fun, and tonight will be fun too. 13-game slate. It's been kind of a weird couple days of NBA, obviously with MLK Day on Monday and the super spread out slate, and then yesterday just the two games, and then today, we don't really see many 13-game slates anymore. Obviously, teams are healthier in general, so kind of a lot of players to pick from. I think you'll see ownership really spread out, especially among the studs tonight, right? I think there's a lot of different ways you can build. We've seen some scenarios over the last month or so with the COVID stuff where, it kind of seems like the teams build themselves to some extent. I'm not sure that's true tonight. So I think you'll see a lot of people go different directions, which makes for a fun slate. Looking forward to it. This big 13 gamer.
Yeah, I guess. All right. Well, not ask more than two questions to DC from now on. Three questions. Yeah, you tackled them well, but that was too many questions I threw at you. But people learned something new. The Cabo trip, dry January. You learned some new things about DC. So I gotta push it out of you. AP, go to you. First, we got boys in chat. Connor says DC and Cabo sounds dangerous. I gotta agree with you on that, Connor. Junior, what's going on? Cape League Burner, UFC 270 week. I'm very, very excited. We'll have all the content. AP, I'll go to you. Talk about this 13-game slate. It's a fun one for sure. You have a little extra on your plate today. Heat map, you've been working on that. Talk about your initial thoughts, and then you're definitely not wavering from the Chiefs. So if you got any predictions, double digits, any predictions for the people, let us know.
Yeah, if after the show, if projections are looking funny, it's probably my fault because I'll be managing that up to lock. But no, it'll be fun. But no, seriously, if anyone in chat, if you see anything that's way off, shoot me a message so I can get it fixed because I'm on that duty tonight. But no, big slate tonight. A lot of really, really strong plays. So I'm excited to dive in with you guys and find those winners.
Absolutely, yeah. 13 games. We're about to get right into it. First, though, the members never win segment. Big week for sure. Starts off with hoop, $100,000 in golf. Golf starts or locks again tomorrow. I think I saw 11:40 a.m. Eastern. I love being in the golf streets, and our crew is absolutely crazy. Snyder does a very good job. Hoop, AP, Coop, Mangone, all the guys. Uncle T, Tambo, so many good golf minds, and the prize pools are always really big. So I always enjoy golf. Hoop, $100,000. Mike J, $15,000 in golf. My favorite, as I talked about Monday, AP's mom, $15,000 in NFL. Gem C, $20,000 in NFL. Slick Derulo, $15,000 in NBA. It's Yuli, $30,000 in NBA. And Mangone, $59,000 in NBA. AP, you weren't on the show Monday. I haven't spoke to you since your mom did have that big win. Just talk about it a little bit, a little story. I need
to hear the story. Things move so quickly in DFS, right? Like it's like the next guy's getting the big prize pool. You kind of forget. But I need to hear the AP's mom story.
Yeah, go ahead. AP. The floor is yours.
No, she's a Deegan like us. My dad never gambles, never gambled in his life. That's not his thing. My mom, she loves it. So she likes to play cards, loves the DFS, doesn't know much about sports, but huge supporter of RPS, obviously. And she put a lineup in literally 45 minutes before lock. She pulled up some of the content and found some plays that she liked and almost hit the absolute nuts. So she had a big night. I had She called me like 7 times, like so many texts. First I'm like, what's going on here? But no, it was I was pumped for her. It was a ton of fun, and now she's wanting to play bigger. So it's now hopefully she stays hot, or she's going to experience the other side of it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, what? Don't tell her to be battling in the monster against you, AP, every night. Tell her to still be smart with that bankroll, as she knows, and keep grinding up the winners. One day she'll be battling you in high stakes every day. But what a story! Has to be cool getting texts and calls from your mom. But that's enough of the screenshots. It was a very good week. Let's keep it up. 13 games today. Hit the like button for us, please. 206 watching, 78 likes. Doing pretty good. We appreciate it. But let's dive right in. Big slate, as I said. First game at 7 p.m. Eastern, the Orlando Magic, the Philadelphia 76ers, 214.5 total. Philly is favored by 12. On the Orlando side, Wendell Carter Jr. is questionable. We don't have the most news today. I mean, injury news lately has been a lot better. Health and safety protocols, kind of getting over it. Some people are going back, but the injury report isn't like it used to be. So Wendell Carter news is one of the bigger news on the slate as of now. Go to the Philly side. Shake Milton out, Danny Green out, Matisse Thybulle is out. I'll go to you, AP. Talk about this game. It's not the biggest total. It's a pretty big spread. We have 13 games. Is this one you think you can cross off, or do you see some pieces in this game?
Yeah, this is going to be a game that I'm usually crossing off, unless you're playing 150. Like if I was playing 150 tonight, and I'm not, but if I was, I would have some exposure to Cole Anthony, especially if Wendell Carter was out. Just a guy that has very nice upside relative to his price point. I do think there are much better plays at the guard position, point guard specifically, but I think guard is loaded tonight. So I'm running 4 builds, and Cole Anthony and none of the Magic are going to make any of my builds. They're running like a really random rotation right now. Sure, any one of these guys could get there, but I think it's just very risky. Even if like Wendell Carter's out, I'm not gonna. It's a bad matchup for Robin Lopez, and it's not like he's getting the high 30s even when he's in there. Mo Bamba's coming off the bench. Mo Wagner's getting in there, so it's a deep enough rotation to where I can get off. And then, I mean, you can go Embiid. I don't think I'm going to get there. I think there's better centers on the slate. Tobias at 6'7" just looks like a trap for me. So I'm probably going to underproject him. And then, Curry or Maxey could get there. I don't think we need to go there on this slate.
Yeah, I don't think it's the best game either. I mean, what stuck out to me, like you said, Tobias at 6'7", sub 7K, it does kind of feel like a trap. I mean, we talked about it on Monday about Russell Westbrook's price on FanDuel, how they keep lowering and lowering. I think he's 7.5 today or something, but he just hasn't done much. And the same thing with Tobias. Under 7K, it feels tempting, DC. Are you just going to avoid it? I feel like you haven't been a Tobias guy ever, really. So I think you're going to probably fade. But see anything in this game you like?
I don't mind playing Tobias when he's like the main guy on the team, right? It happens occasionally. And he's been in the league a long time. We've seen it. He's capable of kind of handling that point forward role, but it's not the role he has right now. I mean, this is Joel Embiid's team, right? Everything runs through him. And then even if you just look at like the other guys around the perimeter, Maxey, Seth Curry, Tobias, Korkmaz, they kind of have similar roles a little bit, right? They all can do a little bit of playmaking, all a little bit of a decent amount of scoring. So Tobias Harris, I just got to see more from him right now in this role before I'm even paying the 7K price tag. He just doesn't have, to me, maybe famous last words, but I just don't see a 50 burger coming out of Tobias. Not that you need that, but that's the kind of upside you're looking for most of the players in that price range. So no Tobias for me, or really any of the other Sixers, except for Embiid. I think you can play again. He's the main guy here, dominating. I mean, I'm not worried about those Magic bigs really against Embiid, so he can get there. I mean, the upside has been, I guess, a little bit lacking. You're looking at 50 to 60 you're kind of hoping for, but you do get a little bit of a discount from him from the other studs. So Embiid I like, but really no other Sixers. And the Magic, I mean, I kind of warned about Cole Anthony's minutes on Monday. Orlando's still trying to figure things out, right? This is not a winning team. They don't have a winning roster. And I don't think like Cole Anthony is like the long-term answer for the Magic. So I just don't think his minutes are quite as secure with getting Suggs back and some of their other guys back. So for me, the Magic right now are a team that I'll mostly stay away from, right? There's a few teams like this that are trying to figure things out, and they don't have a main guy, and you just can't really trust the minutes. So, yeah, mostly a cross-off game for me.
Yeah, pretty much 3 for 3 cross-offs, 1 off an Embiid. You can't go wrong if you want to do the Tobias price tag, but pretty much 3 for 3, 13-game slate. We're going to have to cross some off, double-digit spread, pretty low total. I think this is one you can feel pretty safe with. Before we get in the next game, let's check chat. Junior, the master of mojo in the building. Our boy, Stephen Coy. What's going on, Steve? Hope you're having a good day. Junior, Richie Smalls, D-Gaz, what's going on? Jeff Matthews. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button for us, please. We appreciate it. Hope you guys are having a good day. Let's get into the next game, the second game that locks at 7 p.m. Eastern. Only 2 games lock right away. Brooklyn Nets, Washington Wizards. Big boy total, 234.5. Washington is favored by 1. You go to the injury report, nobody on the Washington side. Washington is fully healthy. Go to the Brooklyn side, though. KD out, Claxton out, Joe Harris out, Paul Millsap out, DeAndre Bembry out. Well, how I approach the Nets is when one of the big 3 is out, you got to have some interest in the other 2. Kyrie Irving, 9-3, think he makes sense. 11-6, James Harden, I think he makes some sense. On the other side, I don't know, with the Wizards back, like I'm not really playing Beal at 8-9. There's Montrez, KCP 4-3. I think Harden and Kyrie are what I have the most interest in. DC, I'll go to you. Talk about those 2. And am I missing any of the secondary pieces?
No, I mean, when 2 of the, even 2 of the big 3 for the Nets are in, I'm not typically going to go to the secondary pieces on Brooklyn too often. But yeah, I mean, Harden, Kyrie, I think they're both in play, but you're not really getting a discount, right? Like you're paying full price for those guys, like Kyrie at 9-3, Harden especially at 11-6. So even with KD off the court, I don't think they're, must plays by any means. But like you mentioned, a really high total in this game. If you wanted to try to squeeze in a little like star-studded game stack here, if you could find enough value, I could see that working, right? Like you could see a 120 to 124 game where the stars kind of all get there. Wouldn't shock me in this one, but I don't see any plays here that I'm like, desperate to get into my lineup. Washington fully healthy and 2 of the 3 big stars there for Brooklyn.
Yep, makes sense. I agree. Like, yeah, you're paying the full prices for them, but you couldn't be in a better spot. 234 total. They're 1-point underdogs, but I agree. Like it's not Kyrie at 7K, and thankfully it's not, and Harden at 9K, because then they'd be mega chalk. Like you said before the show, like ownership's going to be pretty spread out. I think the studs are going to be pretty spread out. You'll get them at good ownership. They could break the slate. AP, how do you see Kyrie and Harden ranking amongst the studs on the slate, and talk about any other pieces in this game?
Yeah, I think this is a premier spot for Kyrie Irving. Great price tag. I mean, look, like Simons went off for 56 in this matchup. Cole Anthony went off for like 49 or 50. Shea went off. I mean, man, like guards have been crushing this matchup. So ton of interest in Kyrie. I think the guy who's going to go much lower owned is Harden at his big price tag, 11-6. And it's one of those slates where if he gets you like 70 or something, could be what you need in tournaments. And you have to think, like, if he does get you, a 70 piece, that Kyrie underwhelms. I don't think that happens tonight. I do think both guys do well in this matchup. And for me, it comes down to price, and we're getting a very nice discount on Kyrie. And so he's the play that I want here. Normally, I would be more interested in other pieces here, but man, I don't trust the Nets rotation outside of those 2 guys right now. I think a lot of these guys could be at risk, like Day'Ron Sharp. I mean, if it was a 6-game slate, yeah, I would love Day'Ron Sharp tonight. Not on a 13-game slate when we're going to have many other better options. So for me, it's Kyrie, and I'm probably moving on from this game. The Wizards are like, I mean, if you look at this Wizards rotation, I mean, man, they're playing like they need to do. I mentioned in chat earlier today, like you got Thomas Bryant playing. I mean, obviously he's recovering from injury and stuff, but 15 minutes. Montrez playing, 22, and Gafford playing like 18. I don't want to mess with it. I'm completely off the Wizards tonight.
What do you guys think of the Aldridge Sharp? I know you mentioned Sharp there briefly, AP. Aldridge coming back from he missed time, right? So his last game was January 7th, and he played off the bench yesterday, or 2 days ago, rather, against Cleveland, played 23 minutes, basically split the 48 center minutes down the middle with Sharp. But Aldridge, I mean, he's been pretty damn good this season on a per minute basis. No KD. If he starts at 4,600, I mean, I think he's got a good shot at 30 plus. So, yeah, potentially, right? Aldridge could take over another 30 minutes there with Claxton out title.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. The hardest thing with the Aldridge is he's just center eligible. And now center isn't like the most loaded like we've seen on the past couple of states. Monday when it was like LeBron's only center eligible and stuff now. But yeah, I think I actually kind of expect him to start. We'll get that news regardless. But yeah, if he starts 4.6K, I like him more than Sharp personally. Like they're 4.4, 4.6.
Yeah.
I'd prefer Aldridge.
We'll see. They might need Sharp's athleticism, right, to finish Kyrie and Harden drives those lobs and
I wouldn't
backs, right.
You think they could maybe start Sharp at the 5 and Aldridge at the 4 or something without KD and without? I mean, they're beat up without Claxton. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. We'll get the news too, but I think that is a possible starting lineup.
It seems like with the guys that are out, Aldridge should be a starter on this team, either at the 4 or the 5. But yeah, we'll see. The starters will be interesting. If they start both Aldridge and Sharp in the starting lineup, I think then both those guys are a little bit interesting to me, right? If they're going to play alongside each other and perfect matchup, they're cheap. You could see 30 plus minutes out of them. So yeah, keep an eye on the Brooklyn starting matchup.
I mean, they started Patty Mills in a smaller lineup against Cleveland. So against a smaller team like the Wizards, I would expect probably the same lineup as we saw.
Yeah, I think that's most likely, but not for sure.
Yeah.
We'll get the news. It's not worth guessing. But yeah, I think Aldridge, FanDuel, he's power forward eligible too. So I do think he makes sense on both. The ownership will reflect it on DraftKings since he is only center. So I do think that is a good call. The main pieces, though, as we talked about, Kyrie and Harden. Let's get into the next game. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The Portland Trailblazers, the Miami Heat, 211.5 total. Miami is favored by 9.5. Miami's got some injury news, though. Kyle Lowry is out. Tyler Hero went into health and safety protocols today. Markieff Morris is obviously still out. We go to the Portland side. Dame's out. Norman Powell out. Larry Nance out. Cody Zeller out. Anytime Hero's out, Jimmy Butler, 9.1K. He's not above 10K. Jimmy's always treated me well. The peripheral upside's there. Bam is back. Eats away at his usage a little bit, but Bam's not someone that just demands the ball and low posts, ISOs all the time. So I think Butler makes sense at 9.1K. Like PJ Tucker, Strauss, Vincent. I'm not Duncan Robinson. I'm not sure we need to go here on a slate like this. I think Jimmy is my favorite. Maybe Bam. I'll go to you, AP. Talk about the Heat side. And if you like Simons or anyone on Portland, mention them too. But I think the Heat side's better.
Yeah, I like with McCollum back. It's really difficult to play either of those two guys, especially on a big slate like tonight. It's even difficult to play like Nasir Little, Rocco. Nurkic, like he's a guy that just has a ton of upside. Tough matchup though. So I find myself moving off of the Blazers tonight, and I feel very good about that. Ton of interest in Jimmy. I played him the last slate he was on against the Raptors, and a nice triple-double. It was kind of hurtful down the stretch. Those final 6 minutes, the Raptors, as they often do, were just pressing him really hard, didn't really allow him to do much. And so he luckily got like that triple-double, like the rebound with as time was like running out, fell right into his lap. So that was nice for me. Tyler Hero being out is a massive gap for them offensively. I honestly think with how thin they are, I think it's going to be a spot for Duncan Robinson, 3.8. I think he goes a little bit overlooked tonight too with some of the value that we have at this position. Joe Ingles, very good play. The Memphis guys that we're going to talk about, very, very good plays. Duncan Robinson's the guy that's going to go a little overlooked, and he can be a hurtful guy, but I do think that they're going to try to tee up a bunch of 3-point looks for him tonight. I liked Tyler over on the Bets show today. He had a great mention. He's on Duncan Robinson over 3.5 threes as his prop. So, that's a decent sized number, but we know Duncan Robinson's out there to shoot threes. And, his idea is he's going to come off these screens and he's going to get looks and they're going to feed him until they make some adjustments. And so I really like that play. I think 3.8 is a great value for him. Gabe Vincent, fine. The problem with a play like Gabe Vincent is we have so many really strong guard plays. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get there. And then, PJ Tucker, like, I don't think we need to go there on a slate like this. I think the play is Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson in tournaments for value, maybe a sprinkle of like a Max Struss type, but I'm not in love with it.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I'm glad you brought up the bedside and Tyler. Anytime I hear Tyler on a play, and I think Duncan Robinson will be low owned, I can see like a Struss, a Vincent, a Duncan Robinson. Like, I think one of them, maybe two of them do get there for the price. The problem is you're guessing, and if you get it wrong, the floor is lower than what you want on a 13-game slate. But Duncan Robinson, Tyler likes the over 3.5 threes. I definitely like that. So if I'm playing 150, I would bump up Duncan Robinson a little bit. Tyler's a sharp guy. I think it makes sense in this matchup without Hero too. DC, I'll go to you. Do you think Portland's a cross-off like we do? And then talk about the Heat side.
Yeah, really no interest in Portland, so I won't talk anymore about that. Just a full fade for me. Heat side, very interesting. I mean, I'll triple down on the Jimmy Butler call. Like, we know how this game's going to go, right? No Hero, no Kyle Lowry. You're at home, and you've got the Trailblazers, right? McCollum and Anthony Simons. I mean, Sir Little's 21 years old. Like, of course, Jimmy's going to take this game over. You know what I mean? There's just no question about it. He's going to have a very strong game here with potential to put up, 60, 70 fantasy points. We've seen it before from him over the years. Same situation. He's going to take this one over. So I love Jimmy. Gabe Vincent, I think, is going to have to pick up some playmaking duties. That's really where they're kind of thin is guys to set up teammates, lead ball handlers, scorers. Vincent can do a little bit of that. Obviously, it's going to be, I think, primarily Jimmy Butler, but I think Vincent's going to be kind of that secondary guy. So 4,500 for him. I like him quite a bit. No problem with Bam. Again, I think Miami could put up a lot of points here on Portland, and they don't have that much usage really on most of these guys. It's going to go to Butler. I think some to Vincent, and maybe we'll see a little bit more from Bam. He looked like his normal self last game. Not a huge performance, but he could have some big performances here with Hero and Lowry out. Obviously has a good connection with Jimmy Butler. So I do like Bam a little bit as an off the radar play, but Jimmy Butler is the guy for me here, and the guy that I think will make as many lineups as I can squeeze him in, right? Obviously depending on builds in some situations, but feels very, very safe both as a floor, and we know he's got the ceiling too.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Jimmy Butler, all three of us like. I think Bam makes sense too, just center eligible again, which will keep the ownership down, but I think that makes a lot of sense. Someone in chat said Caleb Martin. That just falls in the same boat as Gabe Vincent, Struss, Duncan Robinson. Like, would I be shocked if he gets there? No. And I do think someone in chat said Struss can chuck. Struss is a sniper. Like, he gets hot, he's going to fill it up. Same with Duncan Robinson. But 13-game slate, you can't really miss. You don't want snowflakes in your lineup. And they have the potential. They have the flame emoji. They have the potential for the snow emoji. So just be smart with it. Don't take too many chances on those secondary pieces. The Jimmy's the way safer play, but I wouldn't hate taking a shot on one of the other ones. Let's get into the next game. 370 watching, 130 likes. It's getting a little hurtful. We can definitely do better than that. Hit the thumbs up for us, please. Hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. Next game on the slate also locks at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The Charlotte Hornets, the Boston Celtics, 219.5 total. Boston is favored by 3.5. On the Boston side, Marcus Smart's out. Aaron Nesmith is out. Go to the Charlotte side. Kelly Oubre is questionable. So two relatively healthy teams. I'm not seeing too much in this game. I'll go to you, DC. What are you seeing?
Yeah, same. Not a lot here. I just don't target Boston that often in general. You can, but Charlotte doesn't seem like the team to do it. That would play particularly well here to me. So, yeah, I'm off of Charlotte. Obviously, mostly healthy. Boston, same thing outside of Marcus Smart. Obviously, the main guy missing there. So, yeah, kind of a cross-up game for me here, honestly.
Got to have cross-off games for sure. I'm with you. AP, you see it like us, or is there someone we're missing?
I actually like Jason Tatum quite a bit tonight. I think he's going to make for a really good tournament play. Right in that price, like he's right there with Jimmy Butler. Like, would I play Jimmy over Tatum tonight? Yeah, I think Jimmy is safer. I think Tatum, honestly, in a fast-paced matchup against the Hornets, who haven't been as good against wings, defensively, I do think maybe Tatum has a little bit more upside just because he's got, more raw scoring upside, especially in a matchup like this. Jimmy Yeah, I mean, it's really close between the two. But I like Tatum in tournaments tonight. I don't think like you need to run it back with anyone. Like if this game gets to going back and forth, I could see one or two pieces from the Hornets side going off. The problem is like picking which one. I mean, Rozier could do it, a little revenge factor there. It could be Ball, could be Gordon Hayward, it could be Miles Bridges. He went for like 70 the other day. I don't see him. Like literally Bridges is the type of guy who he went for 68 against the Knicks. He'll probably follow it up with like 37 tonight.
You got to wait like another month to get the big game from Bridges, right?
but Tatum is the guy that I like on the Celtics side. He might land in one of my four builds, but I don't think you need to force anything in here.
Yeah, if you think Tatum and Jimmy Butler are like kind of coin flips, the ownership will definitely be lower on Tatum. Not like Jimmy's going to be an insane amount, but Tatum's going to be single digits. So I would, if you got like a little gut lean on that, I would definitely go Tatum, at least in one build, because the ownership, if he drops 65, not too many people have that 65 with you. So don't mind that. Yeah, don't mind that call at all. Dakota in chat he said he's been on Gordon Hayward all day and he just caught the revenge narrative. So I guess the people out there wanting to play a Hornet, you do get the Gordon Hayward revenge narrative a little bit, but I'm not really going to go to the Hornet side. Let's get into the next game. Another game that locks at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. This is the third game of three that does. Minnesota Timberwolves, Atlanta Hawks. Big total again, 236. Atlanta is favored by 1.5. And Atlanta has injury news. Clint Capella is out. Bogdanović is out. Go to the Minnesota side. Jordan McLaughlin's out. Doesn't mean much. So Minnesota's healthy. Atlanta on a slate without too much news. Without Capella, Okongwu at 4.6K. We've seen this story recently. I think he makes a lot of sense. DeAndre Hunter at 4.2, small forward and power forward eligible, makes some sense. The Minnesota side's a lot more tricky for me. Pat Bev had a solid game yesterday. He was pretty chalky too. Think you can go right back to him. Maybe a Towns, but I'm not the Minnesota expert. DC, the joke keeps on going. But do you like anyone from DC or from Minnesota? Because I don't see too much. And then to talk about this Hawks side.
I mean, you can take a shot on any of the Minnesota big three, right? Russell, Edwards, Towns, probably one of them will do well here. I might lean, honestly, Towns in this game just because missing Capella, maybe he can get on the boards, but it's tough picking between those three guys. Even as someone that watches most Timberwolves games and just has, I think, a good feel for the performance of the team and their big three. When they're all three healthy, man, it's just really tough to try to figure out which one it's going to be. So on a 13-game slate, I'll probably try to go to places where at least I think I have more certainty, right? Whether or not I do, we'll see. But I don't see myself playing many Timberwolves tonight. Outside of, if you wanted to game stack this one, again, where all the production is coming from. So this would be one where you could take that approach, but I don't think I'll do it myself tonight.
Makes sense. AP, I'll go to you. You agreeing to no Timberwolves really, and then talk about Okongwu, DeAndre Hunter, and Trae Young, some of these Hawks pieces, because big total, close spread. I think it makes a little sense on the Hawks side.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting spot for kind of like a stretch four type, like a John Collins, I think, against the Timberwolves. So Collins is definitely someone that's on my radar for tournaments. I don't like rostering him, but man, I do like the spot for him. So if we can get good minutes out of him, if he can hit some early.
Coming off a big game too, and he's power forward and center eligible. I think that's a good call.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a move, like it's different than the Okongwu play, I think who's going to be more popular. Then DeAndre Hunter and Kevin Huerter, I think are Kevin Huerter somewhat in play, but DeAndre Hunter at 4.2, I think he's going to be a guy that falls into a lot of people's builds, especially when people see that he played 35 minutes there against the Bucks last game. So if he gets 35 minutes here in this matchup, which is good for wings like him, I think he'd make for a good value. I'm going to be off Trae. Pat, like DC, your Wolves have been like sneaky good against opposing backcourts. They've been good against point guards and mainly point guards. So like, I don't know if that's like a Pat Bev type thing. The one hurtful thing for me is that like for NBA League Pass, the Wolves games are blacked out in my region. It's like the most annoying thing ever. So they're not a team that I get to see too often. Luckily, we got DC in here, and he can tell me everything that I need to know as the local Timberwolves expert. But I'm probably going to be off the Wolves. Their rotation, 10-man rotation, just a lot of mouths to feed, and it's a big slate.
No, you don't want to. I wouldn't play Trae Young tonight. I don't really play point guards against Beverly. I mean, Beverly, like when he gets a matchup like this against Trae Young, I mean, we've seen it. I mean, I think he was against Russell Westbrook, right? I think did he hurt Russell Westbrook once? I think he might have. Like this is what he lives for, right? To try to get in the grill, slow these guys down, irritate them, and especially a guy like Trae Young, who's kind of a smaller dude, who Beverly can kind of, I don't know, just slow him down. So yeah, I wouldn't play Trae Young. Collins, I think, is interesting because Okongwu's got a very, very good chance of getting in foul trouble. He's almost at 4 personal fouls per game, and that's like on like 22 minutes a game. You've got driving of Russell, Edwards, and then Towns himself draws a lot of fouls. So you could see Okongwu, get in foul trouble early. I think it'll be pretty popular as kind of a chalky play. And then maybe Collins gets to play the 5 against the Minnesota, backups and can stay out of foul trouble himself. So yeah, Collins I think is the upside play for the Hawks here. But even his matchup, I mean, Vanderbilt's a pretty long, good defender himself. So I don't know where to go for sure here.
Yeah, I do like the Collins call because like Okongwu is going to get some ownership. You get the leverage off of that. Collins is power forward and center eligible, which I like too. I'm seeing below 5% ownership.
And on $7K too. The price tag's nice, right? Like if he gets to that 50 plus, he's going to be a big boon, and he's probably not really going to hurt you much at 7K, right? You're probably going to be okay with him regardless.
Yeah, unless he gets in foul trouble.
Right.
I mean, he had 42 last game, and he shot the ball poorly too. 25% usage rate. Like I think that's a really good call, AP.
Yeah, my one fear is like I was watching Randall last night. He went off in this matchup, so maybe a little bias there.
I mean, I'm seeing like less than 5%. Like you can't have too much bias if someone's under 5% owned. It doesn't take much to get overweight, even 1 of 4 builds. So I do like that call for sure. The Hawks side's interesting. Minnesota side is more of a stay away.
You guys have a take on the Cam Reddish trade? Is that like them choosing Hunter over like
I feel like
those two are a little redundant, right? I think DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish, they always seem, and so it seems like the Hawks are like DeAndre Hunter got healthy and they like immediately shipped off Cam Reddish. It makes me think they have some faith in Hunter coming off a big game. I don't know.
And they just drafted a guy that's similar to all 3 of them too. I mean, Jalen Johnson, like he's a lot younger version of them, but it's pretty much like Cam Reddish Jr., like a mini version.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's like they have so many of the same players. They probably just didn't see Cam Reddish as a fit. Who knows, like the relationships and stuff. But I just think they have so many of the same players. So, yeah, I think they like Hunter. He's been playing good.
Yeah.
And they're just going to develop the young guys. So that's just my guess. No expertise or inside knowledge on that one. But let's get into the next game. Memphis Grizzlies, Milwaukee Bucks, 229 total. The Bucks are favored by 6.5. Go to the Milwaukee side. Drew Holiday is questionable. I'm seeing we haven't got any Drew Holiday news since. Have we, AP or DC? Still questionable?
I haven't seen any, no.
Yeah, that's the biggest news on the slate for sure. And then on the Memphis side, Desmond Bane out, Dylan Brooks out, Slow-Mo, Kyle Anderson out, Tyus Jones out. So Memphis is without some bodies. The big news on the Bucks, if Drew Holiday's out, we've seen Chris Middleton do well. We've seen Giannis obviously do well, but now it's 12K Giannis. It's 8.8 Middleton. It's not the same prices as when Drew first went out. As far as the Grizzlies side, I think DeAnthony and Melton, 3.7K is way too cheap. I think Conchar at 3.6 makes sense. John Morant, 8.9K. I think he's in a really good spot. I think this game has a lot of potential to be fun, back and forth. I'll go to you, DC, talk about the Memphis side, talk about the Bucks side.
Yeah, I mean, from the Memphis side, Bane out, Brooks out, Tyus Jones out. It doesn't take a genius to say how can Memphis compete in this game? It has to be John Morant, right? Like it has to be John Morant doing his thing. And it's certainly possible. I like Morant quite a bit better, honestly, if Drew sits, right? Because Drew Holiday sits, the defense just isn't as good. I think it's too much to ask of Morant to go into Milwaukee against Drew and Middleton and Giannis, right? And try to keep this game close. So if Drew's out, I think Morant's got a better chance to do it. And I wouldn't mind playing him at that point. Jaren Jackson Jr., I think, they're going to need his scoring here if they're going to keep it close, but the matchup is really scary. I mean, someone's got to guard Giannis. It might be Jaren Jackson, might be Giannis on Jackson on the other end. So a lot of, plays in theory kind of make sense for Memphis, but I'm worried about him here, especially if Drew plays, about their ability to compete in Milwaukee. I think if they do, I think it's going to be a big Ja Morant game. So I don't mind that as a GPP play. But again, I would want Drew out of there. And then if I'm playing Ja Morant, probably bringing him back with Giannis, right? And hoping that those two kind of have huge games and stays close, high scoring, all that stuff.
Yeah, Drew's out. You definitely I don't in NBA. I don't focus on individual matchups. Right. There are certain guys that I'd rather not pick on Drew. Now, if he's in, I'm not saying Ja Morant's just an auto fade. It's still Ja, freak talent. He can still get his at 8-9, but I definitely would prefer and feel more comfortable with Drew out. But they do so many pick and rolls. They get switches and stuff like that. But I do think that is a good point. As far as Jaren Jackson, 6'6", he always has upside, but he can't keep his hands to himself against bums out there. I mean, now he's got Giannis to deal with. It could be a lot of bench time for him with fouls today. AP, I'll go to you. Talk about this Memphis side. I think there's a lot of interesting pieces. Personally, I don't think you have to run it back with the Giannis or something. I think the prices are up there. I don't love the Bucks as much, especially if Drew's in. But talk about the Bucks side. If he's out, do you have interest in them as well?
Yeah, I'm off your Bucks. So I have concern. So this is going to be a great source of value on the slate. D'Anthony Melton is popping. I think people are going to play John Concar. He was, in a ton of my builds early on. I might be a little too high on him. My one problem with the Grizzlies, I'm looking at this game recently that they played against the Mavericks where they got absolutely steamrolled. Yeah. Jenkins played 15 players or 14 players, everyone that was available. And there's 12 players available tonight. They're dealing with a lot of injuries, but they still have 12 players, I believe, that are available tonight. Against the Mavericks, I think they had 14 players available. All 14 saw the court. That's a huge concern if this game turns into a blowout. We've seen these spots where Jenkins will just they don't happen too often because of how good the Grizzlies have been. But, in that third quarter, it was competitive in that third quarter. The Mavericks pulled away, and it was the Grizzlies just, threw the white towel. So that is one concern. But, if you think they stay within striking distance, Ja Morant, 8-9, I'm not going to tell anyone not to play him. It's Ja Morant. He's been phenomenal this season. D'Anthony Melton, 3-7. He's going to be a great value play. I do have concerns like Jaren Jackson. He's just constantly in foul trouble. Tough matchup here against the bigs of the Bucks. So I'll probably be lower on him. Slight interest on Brandon Clark and then Conchar for value. I'm going to have exposure in probably one or two builds, but I think in my other two, I'm probably going to be under on this Memphis value. So probably will fall right in line with the field, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. 13 games, you don't have to make stands on all of them, but I think you made some points. Drew Holiday news definitely is the biggest on the slate right now. Let's get into the next game, though. 13-game slate. There's a lot of them for sure. Cleveland Cavaliers, Chicago Bulls, 215 total. Cleveland is favored by 3. Go to the Cleveland side. Rondo out. Lamar Stevens out. Go to the Bulls side. Zach LaVine out. Lonzo Ball out. Derek Jones out. Javonte Green out. Caruso is probable. Yeah, I mean, two notable names on the Bulls are out. So I think DeRozan, I think Vooch makes some sense. I think they're going to be low owned. I don't love picking on the Cavs, but they're low ownership. They're priced appropriately. They have upside. So just like a Tatum for AP, I think these guys can break the slate, not priority plays. As far as Cleveland, I don't really see too much. I'll go to you, DC. What do you see in this game?
Yeah, not a ton for me, despite the Bulls missing guys, right? Normally you say you take Lonzo off the court, you take Zach LaVine off the court, and it's jackpot, right? It's kind of what you would generally think, but I don't like picking on Cleveland, man. Really, really good defensive team, and Vooch is going to have to deal with Jarrett Allen and Mobley. And DeRozan to some extent too. And they're not cheap, right? DeRozan 9.2, Vucevic 9K. So they got to have big games. And we just don't see that many big games against Cleveland. So even with Levine, with Alonzo Ball out, a little nervous on these kind of paying up for the Chicago Stars. They probably won't end up doing it. Kobe White, 6,500. I mean, I can't pay that price tag against Cleveland. I know he's been decent recently, but that's just too much for me. Caruso, 4,800. I mean, he's just not a high upside dude, right? So even if he gets you his high upside game, which is what, 30 fantasy points, like that's good, still not maybe what you're looking for at that price point. So I'm not really on Chicago. Cleveland side, one guy I'm looking at is Darius Garland. I mean, he's just the last dude standing in Cleveland, right? They lost Sexton early on. It was Rubio splitting minutes. Rubio goes down. They signed Rondo for the backup role. Now Rondo's out. They don't really have anybody. So you look at like the potential assist, time with the ball, pick and rolls run, all that stuff for Garland over these last 4 or 5 games. He's right up there with anybody. And it's translating into fantasy points, 51, 63, 54, 50. So yeah, I think Garland at 9K even is a good play. I think he's got a good shot at 50 fantasy points here. I do worry a little bit about the matchup. Caruso, I think, could be on him for a large portion of this game. Was a really good defender. That worries me a little bit. But Garland, the guy I'm looking at, he's the guy on Cleveland that has to go to make it work for them. So he's an interesting play, but mostly off this game in general.
Yep, I agree. AP, how do you see this game?
Yeah, I mean, Darius Garland, I've been playing him like every slate he's on. He just continues to print. I am worried a little bit about Caruso defense here, but let's see. He hasn't played since December 20th.
Right.
I think the game where he got hurt. I mean,
he probably won't even start. Well, maybe he will, but I mean, either way.
Yeah, I mean, Ayo has been playing really good. Him and Kobe White were playing, pretty decent. So I'm not as concerned about the defense there. So I'm definitely looking at Garland, and I want to get him into at least one of my builds because he's going to be very low owned. I honestly I keep playing Jared Allen. It hasn't crushed for me yet, but this guy, each slate is literally 1% to 2% owned. And he's got massive upside. Now in a tough matchup, against Vucevic, I'm not in love with it, but if you're a multi-entry player, I do think you should give some consideration to him. The risk, though, is this front court for Cleveland is loaded with Mobley. Kevin Love's been awesome off the bench. So that's going to impact him each and every night. But we've seen Allen have those games where it's just he's getting fed from Garland, and, he puts up a 22, 16 rebound type game. Do I think he gets it tonight? No, probably not. And there's better centers on the slate. One we're going to talk about here in a couple games. That's just, phenomenal play. But, in slates moving forward, I think just Jared Allen, if you're a tournament player, is someone you should be considering. So for me, it's Garland. I'm with you guys on the Bulls side. I don't want to play 5-8 for Ayo, even though he's been good. Same with Kobe White. I think I would rather there's so many other plays to go to. So I'm probably going to be off of them. And then, Title, I agree with you. This front court matchup for Vucevic, DeRozan, it's just tough. So I'm going to be off of those two guys.
Pretty much 3 for 3. Anthony in chat said he liked Garland too. Garland's been playing really good basketball. Think that makes some sense. Well, we got Colin saying disrespectful on the likes. I got Simon chirping in the ear. 450 watching, 182 likes. I'll set it at 250. I think 250 is pretty easy number. 250 likes for the plays of the day. Shouldn't be very hard. 13 game slate, working our butts off. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button for us, please. Next game on the slate, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. OKC taking on the San Antonio Spurs. 221.5 total. San Antonio is favored by 7. On the OKC side, Derek Favors out. Kenrich Williams out. On the Spurs side, Trey Jones is probable. So 2 pretty healthy teams. DeJounte Murray, you can just play the man every single day. 9.7K. I think that's fine. I think you can run a 2 spend up build and run SGA back on the other side, 8.4K. He's just been hooping as of late. It doesn't matter who against. He's getting to the paint. He's finishing. He's putting up big boy scores. So I think Murray SGA, we talked about it on Monday. Luka SGA was going to be 5% on both guys when there was popular spend ups. I think this slate, I wouldn't be surprised to see DeJounte and SGA go back and forth. So those are my two favorites. You can play Derek White, Keldon Johnson, guys like that if you want, but I feel safer with the notable guys. AP, I'll go to you. Talk about the OKC and the Spurs side.
Yeah, I mean, so we were talking about this game in chat earlier, and I actually have a lot of interest in it. And let me clarify, like, I'm looking at 3 players from OKC, the 3 that I trust minutes-wise: Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, and Shea. Outside of that, the rotation is an absolute disaster. You know, Trey Mann is a guy that they're trying to develop. I think he's going to be decent. This guy has, like, maybe he'll be in the slam dunk contest. He's got major springs to his game. So I think he could be an exciting player, just not yet. So give him some time. But those 3 at least have a solid rotation for OKC. The other thing too, and I say this with a bit of caution because it's the Thunder, but they've been competitive in their last few games. They took Dallas to the wire. They took, I think they beat a shorthanded Nets team. I mean, they've been playing competitive ball, and we know the Spurs do not play any defense at all. So I have interest in Shea. I have interest in DeJounte Murray on the other side. I have interest in Derek White, and then Jakob Poeltl. I think those are the 3 guys on the Spurs side that I'll be looking at. And then on the Thunder, it's Lou Dort, Giddey, and Shea. Again, it's a 13-game slate. I don't think you like full game stack here. There's just too many other good plays. But I would consider mixing some of these guys in if you're a tournament player.
Yep, I definitely agree. I think the game goes pretty overlooked, and I think there's pieces that can get there. Do you agree with that, DC? And if so, what pieces you think get there and are your favorites?
Yeah, the studs mostly, right? So Murray on the Spurs side, I doubt I'll get to him. I think I'm more likely to play SGA, who, like I said, just playing really well right now, super aggressive. And I like him. I mean, to me, the Spurs don't really have a ton of rim protection, right? Like, they don't really have any in the 1 through 4 positions out there on the court. And then, you know, it's like Keldon Johnson and Vassell and Bates Diop playing the 4. They're not going to really provide any rim protection at all. And then their centers, you know, are like kind of 3 big, slow white guys, right? Like Poeltl, Landale, and Eubanks. Like, they can't really protect the rim against explosive SGA drives, which is where he does most of his damage. So I do like him in matchups like this one. He'll go low owned. And yeah, I like that play a lot.
Yep, I like it for sure. It's an interesting game. Get some pieces. Colin says, don't mind Poeltl. I mean, I never even mind Jakob Poeltl. The guy just produces. So, yeah, if you want to play Jakob, go ahead and play him for sure. Drew Carpenter's letting us know Wendell Carter is out. We got 13 games, so we're not going to be able to go back and touch on that news. The Up to Lock show, we'll talk about that, though. I don't think it's slate-breaking news and stuff, but maybe I'm hoping. Yeah, I mean, the Up to Lock show will talk about it, but I don't think it changes too much.
No.
Let's get into the next game.
Real quick, you guys like DeJounte Murray, right? I mean, just looking at this, like, so Luka, Garland, Dinwiddie, and Harden all put up like monster numbers. I know many of those are premier players, but so is DeJounte Murray. Like, I think, and he's going to be low on this slate. Like, I think, what, 56, 57 piece or greater for him is reasonable. So
yeah, I mean, he's a flat out stud every night. You know, he deserves to be at this 10K price tag where he's like, you know, you're reasonably hoping for 50 plus every time he plays, and matchup's good. So yeah, I like that call.
Yeah, I would never say no to DeJounte. Good matchup.
Yep.
I like SGA on the other side. Like, we talked about it Monday briefly about the Luka SGA, but like, that's the combination you wanted. Wouldn't be shocked to see these two go back and forth today for sure. But let's get into the next game. Couple games. Yeah, still a couple games left. 13 games. That's a lot for sure. I don't like this game as much though. Pretty quick for me. Toronto Raptors, Dallas Mavericks, 208 total. Dallas is favored by 3.5. Ken Birch is out for Toronto. Gary Trent is questionable. On the Dallas side, Sterling Brown out. Maxi Kleber, Reggie Bullock is probable. Go to UDC. I don't see too much. Tell me what I'm missing.
I mean, the Raptors minutes are just ridiculous right now. I mean, they're literally playing like a tighter rotation than playoff teams play, you know, in like a game 6 or game 7. I mean, last game, the Raptors played 7 dudes the entire game. One of those was Champagne, who played a total of 9 minutes. So they had 6 guys who played 38, 34, 41, 39, 42, and 37 minutes. Same guy's out, assuming Trent misses again. He's missed a number of games. So at this point, I kind of think until he comes back, I kind of operate under the assumption that he's going to miss another one. I don't know. I mean, matchup's good against Dallas. So I like these Toronto guys some. Scotty Barnes finally looked better, played almost 40 minutes. Precious played 37 minutes at center. I mean, he's in the mid 4Ks. I don't know for sure if that'll happen again, but Boucher came off the bench and played 38 minutes too. So if they're really going to play this tight of rotation again, which they seem like they will, because that's what they always do. Yeah, I got to have interest in a lot of these guys. And then you've got the obvious spring back of Luka on the other side if you want to go in that direction. So Toronto's priced up, but, Van Vliet, Siakam, Precious, Barnes is 6.3, I think is a good play. Yeah, I like Toronto a lot. I'm always going to be attracted to 40 minutes for a mid 6K price tag for a talented player like Barnes. So I like these guys.
I know Precious got the start last game. Was there anybody out besides? I can't remember. Was there anybody out besides?
Kem Birch broke his nose, right?
Yeah, he's already out. Yeah, that wasn't why.
No, Trent is the only other one, I think.
So you expect Precious to get the start again?
Oh yeah, yep.
All right. AP, I'll go to you. Do you have interest in the Toronto side? There's 13 games.
Actually,
I just can't.
Title, if Trent starts, I bet Trent moves into the starting lineup and they push Siakam up to the 5.
That'd be my guess if Trent plays. But
you're assuming that he's out. If that happens, that makes me like Siakam even more. Siakam right now is really, really balling. So don't overlook him entirely.
Yeah. So you're assuming Trent's out, so you think that makes sense. AP, the reason there's 13 games, you got to pick studs like SGA, like Murray. You can't play every single team. So I'm personally going to cross this game off more than likely. But the minutes are there for sure. AP, do you like these pieces on Toronto and anybody on Dallas?
Yeah, I mean, the shout out to Glock. I mean, he's our Mavericks guy. They're playing at a playoff type pace right now. They're playing slow, and the Raptors are too. While I love the rotations on the Raptors side, it's going to be very difficult, especially if Gary Trent's back today. So I'll be off. Wouldn't talk anyone out of playing any one of these guys individually. I just think it's a situation similar to the Hornets, where it's like we don't necessarily know which one of these guys is going to go off. I think Siakam would be the guy I would look at. The problem is on DraftKings, he's center only, and I think we have a lot of really good center plays. So for me, I'm going to be off of it, and I have no problem with Luka. Like Luka is playing very motivated right now. Porzingis, they were keeping him under 30 minutes last game. They were testing out different closing lineups. So if the game, if the Mavericks get a nice lead, I think Porzingis has some concerns as far as the rotation goes. So I'm going to be off of him.
Yeah, we're getting more news. Robert Williams, Time Lord, is out. So Al Horford becomes a better play. AP like Tatum a little bit. He's going to have more rebounding responsibilities. I think that makes little sense. Still don't love the game too much, but news is starting to come up. To Lock Show, we'll talk about it. I think that's bigger news than the Wendell Carter, though. Al Horford and AP likes Tatum a little bit. So I think those, they get the boost there. Let's get into the next game, though. The Houston Rockets, the Utah Jazz, 230.5 total. Utah is favored by 13.5. Houston is healthy, but on the Utah side, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gay, and Hassan Whiteside all are out. Well, that means there's some good plays on Utah. Think Mike Conley, Clarkson, Ingles, Bogdanovich, Gobert, even Royce O'Neal. I think all of those guys make a lot of sense. The prices are good. They're going to have to play minutes. They're good, competent basketball players that we've seen play for many years. So I think you can feel safe with this Utah side. I'm not going to go jamming 5 of them on a 13-game slate, but if you have a couple of them in your lineups, I think that definitely makes sense. As far as the Houston side, I'm just going to stay away from this team. They're pretty healthy. They're a mess. Don't want to go out of my way to pick on Utah. So that's kind of how I see it. AP, I'll go back to you, talk about this game.
Yeah, I mean, the Rockets play no defense. Despite being out a few key pieces, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gay, like you said, Jazz are still favored by a ton here. Rudy Gobert is priced in a very nice way at 8.5. This is the type of game where I think, he's got massive rebounding upside because we're going to have a lot of missed shots on the Houston side. It's just what they do. And it's just going to be such a great spot for him to get a bunch of blocks too. So I think Gobert is one of the safer center plays on the slate. I'm going to have good exposure to him. I think Joe Ingles is very much in play. I think Jordan Clarkson is a very strong play. And everyone knows this. I mean, it's no surprise. I think Bogdanovich is the guy out of those four that honestly like gets a really nice bump here, but people aren't typically looking his way. So I think he's the one that's going to go a little bit overlooked. I think he's a phenomenal tournament play, but man, it's and then Conley. I mean, you can make a case for him too. Any of these guys, I think at least 3 to 4 of these Jazz guys hit value today. And I think having 3 is what I want in my builds tonight.
Yeah, I definitely love Gobert. We're a little ahead of the curve on Monday. There was 2 chalk centers. JaVale and LeBron didn't get there really. Gobert had a good game, played 36 minutes. Nurkic had a good game. I think Gobert makes a lot of sense. The rebounding numbers are just there. DC, talk about this Utah side, and is Houston a fade like we think it is?
Houston, easy fade for me. Healthy, good tough matchup going into Utah. So I'm not on those guys. But man, I am sure am in on the Jazz tonight. I mean, you got to be missing Mitchell, Whiteside, and who's the last guy Rudy Gay. This is a team that plays a tight rotation anyway, right? Quinn Snyder kind of trusts his guys. Like the 6 guys for Utah that are going to do all the damage here. I mean, you listed them at the beginning title: Conley, Clarkson, Ingles, Gobert.
They've been doing it for years.
Bogdanovich, Royce O'Neal. It's those 6 guys. Like the other guys that are going to play in this game, like Eric Pascal is going to probably back up Rudy Gobert for the 12 minutes he's off the court. Like Jared Butler, who's not in the rotation, is going to play probably a few minutes. Denzel Valentine's probably going to play a few minutes. But we're talking about basically 6 guys are going to do, I think, like 90+% of the fantasy production from Utah. And they're relatively cheap, right? I mean, Gobert's the most expensive of them all at $8,500. Give me all these minutes, and then you throw in the best matchup in the league against Houston, reasonable price tags. AP said 3-4 guys hit value. I'll be shocked if they don't have 3 or 4 guys that go 6x plus. I think it could be all 6 of those dudes that are going to play 35 plus minutes or close to it anyway. Could end up with that flame emoji at the end of the night. So again, I'm not going to play all 6 in one lineup, but I don't have a problem playing 4 guys in a GPP lineup. I could easily see it getting it done. And I'll have for sure at least 2 Jazz in every lineup, probably 3 in most.
Yeah, I like that for sure. Utah's in a spot we can't ignore. Houston, I just don't think there's any need to do it. Like, not only the injuries, like Houston's a team we wanted to pick on. We've talked about it a lot lately. Like, you just pick on this team every single game. They don't play defense. They fast tempo.
Yeah.
Just a team you like playing against. So yeah, it definitely makes sense for Utah. And they're guys that we've known. These guys have been hooping for years. These aren't rookies that are coming in that have some more unknowns. We don't know the rotation. We know what we're going to get. So Utah definitely makes a lot of sense. We got 3 games left, 234 likes. I said 250. I know someone in chat said I should have asked for 3. Shannon said I should have asked for 300. I was being nice to the people. 250 should be easy. Hit the like for us, please. 3 games left. Next game on the slate, the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets, 213.5 total. Denver is favored by 8.5. On the Clippers side, Paul George is still out. Batum is out. Luke Kennard is questionable. On the Denver side, JaMychal Green's the only one that's out. I don't have much interest in this game. Jokic is always in play. The guy's just complete stud. He produces everywhere. Not much more needs to be said about that. Will Barton, 5'6". I don't know. I'll go to UDC. 13-game slate. Jokic always, but anything else you see?
Yeah, for Denver, it's just Jokic. I mean, 12.4 on DraftKings. You're paying a lot, but man,
I'll never say no.
Yeah, if you can fit him in your build, you're probably gonna get 60+ fantasy points out of him. So great way to start. That's pretty much it though for me from Denver. Jokic or bust. And then on the Clippers side, man, I don't like playing Clippers dudes. I just not a good team right now with Paul George out going into Denver. I don't love it. The one guy I guess that you can consider, Ibaka Zubac, is 4,200 on DraftKings, which just is, that's as low as you're ever going to see him. He's still got the starting role, right? Probably gets 25 plus minutes here. So he's a fine play. Don't love the matchup though. And, there's a lot of good center plays. So mostly a game I'm avoiding outside of if I can fit Jokic in there or not.
2 for 2 AP, 3 for 3, or is there someone you see that we don't see?
Yeah, no, this game was so painful to watch the last time they played. Yeah. It was the one where Aaron Gordon went nuts. Slow paced game. I'm not paying almost $6K for him. You can always play Jokic. I find it hard to get him into builds tonight because the opportunity cost is going to be a huge factor because if you're playing Jokic, it means you're sacrificing a few of these kind of upper mid like elite plays, the 9K, upper 8K type guys. You can fit multiple of those in, or you get one of those in like a Jokic. And I see myself going kind of that mid-tier, upper mid-tier range over like a stud like Nicole. So I think a lot of people will. I think he's going to be very low owned. So if you want to get different tonight, I think it's a fine way to do so. Yep,
definitely makes sense. We got 2 games left. K-Fleek Burner said, any bones? I'm not the Bones Highland guy. Big T is the Bones expert. So ask him.
His rotation has been really interesting, but Austin Rivers is back tonight. And it's always tough to trust Malone. So I don't love it on a 13-game slate. If it was a 6-game slate, I would have way more interest.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it too. Like there's going to be risk there with Bones for the foreseeable future with Malone and the roster right now. 13-game slate. I don't want to risk the snowflake. He definitely has upside, but that's a Big T question up to lock. And then also we have the promo code with Underdog, Run Peer, all one word, all caps. I don't know if all caps matters, but that's what's typed out. All caps, one word, Run Peer on Underdog. They're matching up to $100. They had the playoff contest before. Now they have for the next round, they have more contests up, $5, I believe, $20K to first place. They run a bunch of contests over at Underdog. Really fun site, fun to sweat out. So Run Peer is the promo code, and they match up to $100. Very good promo there. Next game on the slate, we got 2 games left. Bear with us, people. We're almost done. Detroit Pistons, Sacramento Kings, 221.5 total. Sacramento is favored by 7.5. On the Kings side, Tyrese Halliburton's the only one out, but that's a name that definitely matters. On the Detroit side, Killian Hayes is out or is doubtful. He got hurt yesterday. Frank Jackson out. Kelly Olynyk probable. Terrence Davis, 5'3". I think he's fine. Harrison Barnes, 5'9". De'Aaron Fox, 8'4". DC, I'll go to you first since I think you'll be quick. You're never a Kings guy. I'm expecting the same here. Detroit, nothing just stands out in this game. I wouldn't be surprised to see a piece or two get there, but nothing standing out to me. What do you see?
Pretty much the same thing. I mean, Buddy Hield coming off a big game. You can always get hot from 3, but price up a little bit at 6,300. I mean, Halliburton now does make it a little bit more interesting, but it would be a lot more interesting if there was another guy out, right? If they were missing one more guy in the backcourt, this would be a team that I would certainly attack. As it is, I still don't think De'Aaron Fox is going to make the cut for me. I played him like once the entire year, so probably not going to be the day I jump on board. It is a better spot with Halliburton now, but 8,400, you're paying for it. So I don't see going to Sacramento too much myself. Pretty much the same thing for Detroit. I mean, when they're healthy, right, they've got Joseph and Cunningham and Killian Hayes and Sadiq Bey, all those guys. Hamidou Diallo has emerged. Not a team I love to target. So 2 bad teams, and sometimes these type of games can be the ones you want to target, right? Nobody plays any defense, and they just go back and forth from a fantasy perspective, because when you get to the NBA level, anybody can score. It's like about playing defense. And I mean, these guys, both these teams have plenty of guys who can put the ball in the basket. So maybe you could see a game like that, but I won't be betting on it in my own lineups at least.
No, I hear you. 13 games, you can't play everyone. Yeah. You haven't really been on Sacramento all year, so why now? Jeremy F said, can you play Underdog in Ohio? Anyone know? Yes, you can. The only states you cannot play Underdog, I pulled it up. I don't have it memorized. Connecticut, Hawaii, Idaho, Nevada, Louisiana, Montana, Washington, Delaware, and Iowa. DC, I figured you would say something if I just started rambling.
Well, yeah, I was thinking, I was impressed that you knew Ohio off the bat, and then when you start listing off the other states, I was like, damn, Title's up on his legal battle, fantasy sports legal battle. That's
yeah. I've done enough memorization back in college and high school. I'm done with that. But yes, it is legal in Ohio, Jeremy. AP, I'll go to you. Nothing standing out too much for us. Do you see something that we don't see? What are you doing in this game?
Yeah, I do. I think Cade Cunningham is the best tournament play on the slate tonight.
Ooh.
And here's why. They're coming off 3 brutal matchups: Raptors, Suns, Warriors. Just absolutely brutal matchups for him. Everyone's looking at the box scores, and he hasn't done anything impressive since they played Utah, where he put up a 50-piece. He destroyed this matchup the last time they faced each other. Halliburton was in. Halliburton's one of their better defenders. Sure, they still have Davion Mitchell, who's good. But the pace in this game is going to be phenomenal. A really good bounce back spot. They're light in the backcourt. Frank Jackson is out. Killian Hayes is likely out also. So it's Corey Joseph, it's Cade, and Saban Lee to run the ball here. And the Pistons should, be forced into a tighter rotation. So I have a ton of interest. I think he's going to be very low owned. I love the price tag, and I think he could. We know what he's capable of doing, and I want to target him in these spots where he's going overlooked in a perfect matchup. That's exactly what we get tonight. So I'm going to be overweight him. And the King side, I agree with you guys. It is tougher. People are. De'Aaron Fox was chalk, and he busted against Houston when Halliburton was out in that second game. He got ejected. He's going to be low tonight. I don't mind him, but this Kings team, they have a lot of dudes that they can play. I'm not like Terrence Davis is fine, but I think people are going to look at, wow, he played 37 minutes against Houston, and maybe they're not going to realize that Fox was out like most of the second half in that game. Which obviously helped a guy like Terrence Davis. Same with Buddy Hield, Davion Mitchell. So I'll be a little bit lower on the Kings side, but I do have some interest in Fox tonight.
Makes sense. Cade Cunningham, best tournament play of the day. I like it. A couple people in chat are saying that they like it too. So definitely good call there. Gentlemen's call of the day. Might be a little sneak peek. We'll find out soon. Being there, can't wait for this week's main events. Naganu. Yep, Cyril Gahn, Moreno, Figueiredo. Going to be a lot of fun. All the content show as well. Very excited to be there. And congrats to you on that TOC ticket you won as well. K-Fleeks Burners talking about Kojo revenge game. I'm all over it. I don't know. There's other revenge narratives that get me up a little more than Corey Joseph. But last game on the slate. This is the 13th game. You guys already crushed the likes, 258. If you haven't hit it, we'd appreciate it if you do, but the likes and the plays of the day will be coming. Last game on the slate, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Indiana Pacers, 225 total. Lakers are favored by 5. On the Pacers side, Brogdon doubtful, Miles Turner out, Jeremy Lamb questionable. So some news on the Indiana side. As far as the Lakers side, let me pull it up quick. They got Carmelo questionable, Anthony Davis still out. So just Carmelo on that side. I don't love the game. Dwight Howard at 3-5. I think he starts at center again. Center's loaded. He's 3-5 though. I think it's okay. Karis LeVert 7-9 without these guys. He's their primary scorer. The usage. He's got to rebound more without Miles Turner. Sabonis 10-1. Give me LeVert over Sabonis on DraftKings all day with the price difference. FanDuel thinks Sabonis makes a little sense. AP, I'll go to you. Talk about this game for the Lakers and the Pacers.
Yeah, I mean, this is the news that I'll probably end up if it burns me, it burns me. And if you want to wait, you can. But if Brogdon is in, I don't like any of these Pacers at all.
Is he doubtful or is it questionable? I missed it.
I could be a little behind.
It might be questionable. People were talking about it. He's
questionable. Jeremy, but he hasn't been playing, so
it's the last game, 10:30 Eastern. Yeah. It's a game on an island, so yeah. Are you going to backload for it? I guess is a better question. I read it wrong, then I didn't see that.
So I haven't been playing these Pacers, even though the matchup's good tonight. You could backload, but in LeVert's price range, I feel so much better about some of these other guys. So I'm going to go there, and I feel good about it. And if the late game hammer, burns me, it burns me. But I'm not going to be on anyone on the Pacers side. And the only player I can play is LeBron on the Lakers side. Sure, you can play Howard, but at 3.5, it's fine as a true punt. But man, I feel like we're going to have better values on the slate tonight, so I don't think I need to go there. And then LeBron, he's back to point guard and small forward. I think he's fine. I honestly will probably be off. I'll probably be sweating out this late game to end the night.
Yeah, it does look like he's questionable too, which makes LeVert a little more risky and stuff like that, because I wouldn't want to pay 7-9 if he's out, or if he was in. Brogdon was. So, yeah, I think it's more of a stay away game. DC, you got a one-off that you're looking at, or is it kind of a stay away for you too?
I like the Indiana side a little bit, assuming Brogdon does indeed miss, which I think is by far the most likely outcome. LeVert has been balling. You like the matchup for him. They're going to need him. So he's a good play, I think, at 7,900. And honestly, I wouldn't mind pairing him with Sabonis, right? You get Miles Turner out of there. You get Sabonis playing the 5, which he normally doesn't get to do to start the game. Rebounds go up. So that LeVert-Sabonis combo, I could see doing some serious damage here. Obvious bring back is LeBron James, right? I wouldn't complicate that too much. If you're playing LeVert and Sabonis, you bring back with LeBron. Again, that's an expensive 3 dudes for sure, but could be a fun late night hammer in the last game of the night if you wanted to go in that direction. But other than that, I don't really see a lot here. I'm not going to any value pieces from Indiana and the Lakers. So yeah, pretty straightforward for me.
Yep, that was all 13 games. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, hitting the like button. We're getting the plays of the day, but 13 games, definitely take a breath after that one. Up to Lock Show, Holden, JSU, and BigT, I believe, on the Up to Lock Show. They'll touch on that Time Lord injury a little bit. Your Bones Highland question, K. Fleek Burner, Wendell Carter, all that stuff. Up to Lock. Do not want to miss that. But it's time for the plays of the day. AP, I'm going to go to you first because you kind of hinted at your favorite tournament play of the day. Maybe you're going to give someone else out, but who's your gentleman's call of the day for us?
Yeah, I kind of gave the spiel, so I'll stick with that. Cade Cunningham, I'm showing low ownership. Hopefully get some minutes. Hopefully hit some shots early. Love the matchup. I think it's going to be a great spot for him tonight.
I like it for sure. I'll go to myself. With the SO play of the day. I was debating between 2 guys. They're in the same game. They're studs. I'm going to say DeJounte Murray is mine at 9.7K. He's just been a flat-out stud. I think OKC is a good matchup. I think SGA on the other side makes a lot of sense. You have the money as a run back too. Just think this game's a lot of fun. 2 young studs going at it. DeJounte can fill it up, triple-double upside. So, I'm seeing 10% right now. He might be a little more. So many studs on this slate, but I think DeJounte is a good person to get in your lineups at pretty good ownership. DC, cap it off for us. The mom's basement play of the day.
Yeah, I'll go with a little bit of a boring guy, but a guy I think does deliver big value tonight. Joe Ingles out in Utah against Houston. Minutes are going to be up with Mitchell, Gay, and Whiteside out. And Ingles, he's got to be one of the least athletic dudes in the league, but where he thrives, right, is just intelligence, basketball intelligence. He's going up against these Houston donkeys, right? The old man Ingles going to teach these youngsters a few things, get some steals, and fill it up against Houston. So I think Ingles goes off for 30-plus fantasy points tonight.
Joe Ingles, Cade Cunningham, DeJounte Murray, the plays of the day. It was a fun show. It was a long show, 13 games, big prize pools. Looking for some RPS members up top. Got any sweats later? It's always fun sweating them out in Discord. All the content will be up. Cash chart, core plays, AP seat map, projections be on the lookout for. Up to Lock Show, very important. Appreciate you guys all hanging out with us. It was a very fun show, but that's going to do it for AP, DC, Simon Behind the Sticks. I'm Title Town. Good luck, everybody.